Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with an interesting compilation, interesting in ways I will explain momentarily, of film scores, or suites from film scores, by Howard Shore. He's really a splendid composer. Of course, he's risen to fame because he did the scores for the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit trilogies, which are absolutely fantastic, iconic examples of great film scoring, and some of that music's in here. But he's also, he began life or his career. He was friends with Lorne Michaels. He did the music on Saturday Night Live for a long time. He did Silence of the Lambs. I mean, really some fantastic movies. Crash, which won an Academy Award. He's a remarkable composer, a tremendous musician, and he conducts the whatever Paris thing here. These are the Paris concerts. And let's see if they tell us who's doing what. Yes, there is here, somewhere they're mentioning who the orchestra is and what it's doing. Okay, so you've got two CDs. It's one of these suckers. And, I may have to get my amazing CD removal device here. Wait a minute. There we go. Because this is going to make life impossible. There is a booklet, which we can take out. Oh, these things work so well. If you don't have a false eyelash placement device to get your CDs out of these things, you don't know what you're missing. So anyway, we took care of that. Let's put this away. It's absolutely amazingly wonderful. There we go. So it's the orchestra, the Paris or the French radio or somewhere in here. It's going to tell us who the orchestra is, or maybe it won't. It just has lots of big type for people with either limited vision or monosyllabic brain waves or something like that. Let's see. Composed by Howard Shore. Yes, it's all here. Live at the Grand Auditorium, Maison de la Radio et de la Musique, Paris, France. Okay, the Orchestra Philharmonic de Radio France. And it begins with the Noble Wood, which is a big chunk of music from The Hobbit. And it's played by, there's a big solo oboe in that sucker, which is played by Olivier Doise. And Mr. Doise has an oboe that is the loudest, honkiest damn instrument you've ever heard in your life. It's possibly the Sonics, I have to say. The Sonics in this set are not wonderful. Then we've got movements 1 and 2 from the Fellowship of the Ring, from that Lord of the Rings symphony. You know what was actually very striking is how much choral work there is in the Lord of the Rings scores. It's really a lot. When watching the movie, you're not really conscious of it, but when you listen to the score, you realize that there's a chorus, and frankly, this chorus is not terrific. They're just not great, and the balances aren't great either. And I know Shore was in charge of this whole thing, or at least he conducted the whole thing. But these French radio recordings lately, they've been doing them on Deutsche Grammophon. Didn't they do the Ionescu symphonies with what's his name, Machellaru did them, and a bunch of other things. And even what's his name has been doing things in Paris lately. They don't sound that great. What's his name is Mekala. That's the guy. These things coming out of Paris these days, they're just not sounding great, particularly by the French radio recordings. Maybe it's the room. Maybe it's the orchestra's not top-notch, or the engineers just aren't very good, or things are now being recorded almost like pop music records, for MP3 streaming purposes. And so the dynamics are compressed and the balance, everything's in your face. It's all just, up front. And really kind of annoying, I have to say. The conducting's fine, but boy, when that oboe came in, and then the choir and the Lord of the Rings stuff, the music's beautiful. But I much prefer the original soundtrack recordings. I really do. They just sound better. They really do. Then we've got, Catania with solo piano Jean-Paul Gasparian, and Esther Kahn, the Paris Suite, which is lots of fun. The Concertino from Eastern Promises. That's a lovely work. It really is in a couple of movements. Then we have the heavy-duty stuff. The suite from The Fly, Remember The Fly? Oh, that was a fun horror type movie. Be Afraid, Be Very Afraid. Remember that thing? That's a really cool score. It's quite scary and wonderful. Naked Lunch, which is a crazy expressionistic film, which also has a big alto saxophone part, which is way too far forward, rather like that oboe. The Ed Wood Suite, which is what, I mean, Ed Wood was the world's worst director. Plan 9 from Outer Space, Glenn or Glenda, or I Changed My Sex. I remember seeing all those things when I was in college. Oh my God, were they fun. Unbelievably fun, terrible, awful movies. And it's a movie about making bad movies, which is really, it's a delightfully insouciant, tongue-in-cheek score. It's wonderful. And then the suite from Crash, the Academy Award-winning film about the car accident and all the lives that get tangled up in it. That's also a wonderful score. It uses a lot of electronics, which are, they're better integrated, than the regular acoustic stuff. Shore writes a little note about how happy he is with all this. Of course he was. He's getting a lot of attention, and deservedly so. The scores themselves are lovely. The performances are good. The sonics and the engineering, they really leave something to be desired, I think. And when you're dealing with film scores, I mean, you want to have spectacular sound. You really do. Especially when you get to free the music from the being background to the visuals and really bring it forward, because there's so much that's worth listening to. I really enjoy Howard Shore stuff. I've got a lot of his soundtracks, the actual soundtracks. And I hope to hear more of his work in concert. But this is not an auspicious start, and I wish I could be much more positive about it. I really do, but I just was unhappy with the engineering. Nothing else, just the engineering. It seemed really off, and that's a shame. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. If you're interested in this film stuff, then I can't say don't hear it. You may react differently to the sound than I did. I listened on earbuds and also on a big system, and I think that they really could have done a lot better. It's a shame. Anyway, take care.